There's the counter. Good morning. Um, this is going to be kind of a weird video. Um, I went to this support group meeting last night, and I apologize. My voice is going to be all over the place. Um, but I went to there we go. I went to the support group meeting last night, and afterwards I just didn't feel right. And it was hard for me to kind of put into words. And I find that I do better with a stream of consciousness in a video as opposed to writing, which unfortunately means it's not edited very well. But I wanted to just break down kind of my thoughts, maybe as to why I'm a little unhappy or just off. The biggest thing that happened this last week was we had the presidential election, which people are going to be, in any election, in any game, you have two teams. Excuse me. One team is going to win. One team is going to lose. So in theory, if you're a fan and you go to that game, you're going to be happy with an outcome one way or the other. And I think what was different for me personally about this last election was, I was a Bernie Sanders supporter. I really liked Bernie Sanders. I really liked his take. And, does that make me a socialist? I don't think so. But I think Bernie had some really good ideas. Bernie was, to me, as outside as you could get without being an outsider and whatnot. And then chances are there probably is just some dirty laundry on Bernie that I haven't seen yet or whatnot, which we'll never see now. But it really bothered me that the Democratic National Committee kind of sandbagged Bernie Sanders. It seemed like they deliberately made him look bad to make Hillary Clinton look not as bad. And, or, you know what I mean? Like they figured, a group of people got together, Democratic National Committee, and said, okay, we need to come up with a candidate who is going to defeat the Republican nominee. Now, at that time, they didn't know it was going to be Donald Trump. And I think that is what bothered me, is, and ideally, and you could call me Pollyanna, and today I feel like I'm kind of dressed for it. I have my little house on the prairie nightgown, and I'm wearing a jumper that looks like a nurse, an old nurse outfit. But anyway, but it bothered me. It bothered me that in this process that we have, democratic process for either party, people put their name into the hat and they run and they explain themselves and they debate. And again, maybe my mind was off. Maybe this is the way it's always worked and I've just not been aware of it. But it really bothered me that, 5 or 6 people were running and another group of people got together and decided for themselves who was the strongest candidate and maneuvered and manipulated to basically take everybody else out except for one person, which was Hillary Clinton. I can't argue with putting your best foot forward, but again, in my mind, if it's a democratic process, then, really you should say, okay, the Republican Party, we're going to get together and, everyone who wants to run, by such a date, get your paperwork in, and then we're going to have these debates, and then the people are going to vote on a primary or whatever. And, the strongest person is going to be the one going forward. And so I guess I felt really disenfranchised by the Democratic National Committee. Hi. I have a kitty cat back there. I have lots of kitty cats. So I guess out of principle, once it came to light what they had done, I couldn't, in good conscience, support. Oh, you all are going to mess with that, aren't you? Tissue paper. So I couldn't, in good conscience, vote Democrat. It would be like supporting a cheater. You know what I mean? And, so that left the other side, which was Donald Trump. And, there's not much to say there. Why not to vote for Donald Trump? But, again, you look at the bigotry and which I'm not too sure, but so far all I've seen is a bunch of talk, and I haven't seen any action. Granted, to be a bigot or whatnot, you don't have to. You know what I mean? It's like judging him on how he was 10 years ago or something he said kind of in confidence to someone else. I mean, I would be really put off. I would be upset if someone took something that I said out of context or to someone else. Again, granted, what he said on the bus was a little, locker room talkish or whatnot, but that's a private conversation. That is not the whatever. So I think it bothered me the way that some people had taken and really tried to demonize him. And you know what I mean? It was like, it bothered me to the point that I would have voted for him just because, popular, whatever. I felt like he was wrong, but I couldn't get past the Mike Pence, be honest with you. Someone who kind of believes that, transgender people can be cured, and it brought to mind, the movie, Clockwork Orange, where they're trying to, convert him, and I just don't believe in that. So I couldn't vote for Trump, which left Gary Johnson and Jill Stein, and obviously I voted for Gary. Again, of all the choices, that was the best choice for me. And so, that's what I did, my one vote. And, people, I guess they're like, well, we have a two-party system and it's set up that way, and if you don't vote for one, it's a vote for the other. I can see some argument there, but I felt like, but that's not the way it should be. Kind of like with the Democrats and Bernie Sanders. It should be that you throw your name into the hat and you say, I want to run, and then you debate and you're like, here's why I want to be president, and it's up to the observer to make up their own mind as to who they're going to vote for, and then they vote for, and then you count who, it's majority rules, right? But in this case, it was like the system was rigged from the get-go, for lack of a better word. And I hate to say that because I know people are going to say, well, that's what Trump said. But, again, so here we are, And why did Donald Trump win? I think I heard yesterday someone had said that, they thought it was because of what the Republicans had done to President Obama, which I tend to agree with. As soon as President Obama got in, you had Mitch McConnell. See, they were going, our job as senators is to block whatever President Obama decides to push through. Our means of success is judged by his failure. Something to the effect of that. And again, I was like, well, wait a minute. You haven't even heard anything he said, minus the campaign rhetoric. And you're like, well, just because he's Obama, or just because he's black, or just because he's a Democrat and we're Republican, we're going to not listen to what he has to say. Again, not what I believe, what I want from my government. And so, here we are. This is the first election that I've seen where you have protesters, white people protesting, and, looting and everything. It's like, how did we get here? Usually in a democracy, you would say, well, or, republic, whatever we have. I know some people say we don't really have a democracy, but again, you would think that your vote counts, one vote amongst however many. And, again, you would think that you tally those votes up and whoever wins, wins. And, that's, like I said, I felt like the game was kind of rigged, and I don't see it changing, and I guess I feel disillusioned for that reason. But what makes me upset is that, at this point in my life, I have kind of gotten my shit together. I am transitioning. I'm doing everything that I need to do. I've followed the steps. I'm going through the WPATH procedures and the standards of care. I'm doing everything I need to do, and I've gotten to this point. And now, I guess it kind of bothers me that some jerkhead can say, oh, no, you can be cured. We're going to hook you up to the shock therapy machine and give you electroshocks till you're cured. It's like, wait a minute. What happened to my voice? What happens to my own life and everything? So, I understand, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, kind of caught in the middle. Like I said, I was really disenfranchised from when they exed Bernie, and I guess you could say, well, swallow your pride, and you should have voted for Clinton, and if you voted for Clinton, then she would have won, and which we just don't know. I believe Hillary won the popular vote, but because of the way our system of government is on the Electoral College, which I always forget what that means, and I have to look it up, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I see how that makes sense. But again, you would think that whoever won the popular vote would be president, not the electoral vote. But again, to say, oh, whatever, is kind of whiny. And, like I said, I feel very confused. And maybe I'm not alone in that. But, it kind of, as the week went on and I saw the protests and everything, I'm like, well, I kind of feel the way you feel, but maybe I don't feel that way for you, the reason you do. And, it does very little good to curse, and I mean, it's okay to express your opinion and, say I don't like the way this is, but it's where we are, and I guess I have to pick up my, pull up my big girl panties and go on, and we'll see. Again, it's, I think what bothers me too, which might be another video, is just the fear, the sense of fear, unbridled fear. What's going to happen, because Trump said he didn't like people from Mars. People from Mars are upset, which is true, but, there's no, there was a claim in my lifetime that so many miles of the rainforest are cut down in seconds. Every second, 20 acres or an acre of land. And I think it was Rush Limbaugh. So something like, wouldn't you like to see the piece of machinery that can cut down an acre's worth of land in a second? But, it's, again, I'm trying to remember where I was going with that. Just to be realistic about how much time it would take to get legislation together when the states are going to freak out, you know, Obamacare and everything else. I mean, it's, um, Republican conservative want smaller government, and yet they want to increase the legislation for their own morality. So it's bigger government in your life. And that's what throws me off. Anyway, I'm out of time, but that's my video. Bye.